What's going on, folks? I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. I was part of Anonymous during Chanology. I'm wonderful at breaking people's heads out of cults. I break people's heads out. I break people out of cults. It's okay to have a religion. Scientology in and of itself is fine. But when you start disconnecting people from family and their bank account, this becomes a cult and there's something wrong with it. Now, within societies, we don't have to have a religion to have a cult. We can have a cult of bad ideas without having a religion. Like the Manson family, who were a bunch of hippies that had love in their hearts. Now, we need to face the fact that people with love in their hearts can do the wrong thing. Globalists are coming at us these days, and I'm redoing the pencil definition. Now, it took me a long time to figure out what a globalist was, and the definition I came to for a globalist was just a little bit off from what they themselves call themselves. So in the 60s, an advertisement came out where a man was holding a pencil, and he was like, I'm some famous dude, and I have a lot of money, and you need to listen to me about this thing called globalism. Here we have a pencil, and the pencil cannot be made by any single country. It has to be made in... And then he went through the lead, and he's like, the lead has to be made in, I forget, Zimbabwe, let's say. The wood was made in the rubber was manufactured in, and remarkably, you find out that the parts of this pencil come from all over the world. And if we need things to work, everyone in the world needs to work together. So we need to come together as a globe for global trade, globalism. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Just like the institution of marriage sounds like a wonderful idea. But if some people have some bad ideas for what their definition of what it is, it can actually lead a door to hell for the people within it. Look up the definition of marriage 150 years ago, and we will find something more attuned to the man has all of the control and the woman is secondary, to put it mildly, to put it best, let's say. Definitions change. Globalism has changed. Now, within what we do, we always have to fly a flag saying that we're great. I've noticed even in marketing, the biggest capitalists that I've followed, the biggest capitalists that have given me personally the worst time by hiding behind subterfuge and illegal behavior. Let's face it, let's call a spade a spade. Um, um, we have lost the definition, and we act like we care when really we're just interested in money. And here is the new definition of how it changes. Hi, I'm a rich guy. This is a pencil. Now, we need to make these pencils for people, and we need me to get the most profit. So, instead of making this pencil with this little bit that we could get in our country in this area, and this bit that we could get in our country, and the lead, we could probably pull it out of one of our other allies for a little bit more money, but that's okay, because we would be... No, wait, that's not okay. Even if we're sourcing it from a source that's more expensive and isn't using illegal activities in order to source that in human suffering. But it's okay because I, as the individual in front of you, I stand to benefit from the most human suffering that can possibly go on through this pencil. Now, what they're going to say is, there are people in other countries that don't benefit the way we do, and we need to bring those people into our country. How does that have to do anything with the pencil? How does that have anything to do with the pencil? Anyways, globalists will ultimately... That's interesting. Okay, so globalists will always be like with the pencil thing. But globalists will also be the first to say that we need no borders and there should be no laws for the no borders. People should be able to come and go as they please, because now they won't tell you this, but if you love them and if you have them in pillow talk, if you've thoroughly annihilated them, if you've worn them directly out, and then you talk to them, ultimately what the females will tell you, the female globalists... Maybe I should try gay for pay. Anyways, what the female globalists will tell you is that the reason why is because white men bad. And man, let's... When it comes to history, colonialism is rough, man, rough. Like, the best I got is Now this one's really rough. Like I learned about opium. Yeah, globalism. There you go. Okay, so China didn't want to sell its tea. Britain wanted the tea because it was part of the industrial military complex, just like oil was. They found out that scurvy was from a lack of vitamin C, and if you drink tea, you won't get that vitamin C. Britain, the colonialist power, decided that it needed tea because they were losing ships. They were losing people so much that flagships were being abandoned, just left to drift because they didn't have enough people to pilot them. The captains, proud men all, who probably had all everything they needed in their captain's quarters, had to legitimately go back to their kings and say, look, men are just dying on these ships. So they went over to China and they used opium to soften China up. China didn't want anything to do. China didn't want anything to do with globalism. China didn't want anything to do with any of it. They didn't hurt anybody else. They just said go away. And they got addicted to opium because that's what the British brought to them. The British softened them up with opium, and then the Japanese did. I will never forgive them for doing this because I remember grade 9 history. I was looking through a history textbook and I seen a man that was, he was in an opium. It's the first time I ever seen an opium den. Basically a whole bunch of little bunk beds and then a mildly attractive woman walking around with a pipe, and you would just stay in that position wasting away into nothing. Like I know like it was his responsibility to stay out of there, but we flooded those streets with those demons, with the demons of opium and the temptation of it. And he sold out his wife and his daughter for opium, and that's a hell that his wife and daughter had to endure. Well, the man himself got to smoke opium with a really hot girl. I'm screaming on the inside. I've learned recently that screaming doesn't really help all the time, but I'm screaming on the inside. Like personally, I have this thing where if I see a kid get hurt and I don't cry, I feel like I'm doing society an injustice. I feel like I'm not a human. It's like if a human doesn't cry watching an innocent get hurt, are they human? But at the same time, you have to maintain the strength to be able to pick that human up and get them to be where they need to be. Now, what I'm saying is the globalism is no longer about making a pencil. Globalism is about enriching the people at the top and screwing the people at the bottom. That's what globalism is now. We dress it up. How bad can I be? There's a lot of technology, a lot of futurism, a lot of looking forward going on in globalism. But the more I talk to people in business, there's going to be some people watching this that come from that business. There's a lot of people in business that just simply believe you can't get ahead in life without being evil. And to them I say, you can. You just haven't tried. And by flooding the market with evil, you're flooding the world with evil. And that evil is not something any individual man can contain. That opiate addiction. You think that just as soon you think that as soon as China gave the colonists Hong Kong and Taiwan like that, they deserve their independence, by the way. I'm not saying anything about where they are now. I'm just saying the situation, what it was. Like that's hell. It's like it's like spreading a plague legitimately. There's some sicknesses you can nuke. You shouldn't nuke. You can nuke Japan, and generally the fallout is going to stay in Japan. If you were to flood Japan with opium, that's a different thing. That is a nuanced spirit that can jump borders, that will jump on people and walk out with them. That's a kind of hell that instead of like one person surviving a nuke, you get generational nukes. You get people sold into sexual slavery. Wow. So remember when you see a pencil, who actually uses pencils these days, it's not about the fact that the pencil needs to be put together by everyone in the world. The fact is that the person holding the pencil wants to use the means of making the pencil to make themselves more powerful. The globalists don't care about their country. Most globalists would switch countries like that if they found a new way to make money. And in that, we don't have a patriot. It is okay to love your country. It is okay to love your neighbor, regardless of whether they don't love you or not. I have friends that I'm not friends to them, but they're friends to me. And you know what? When you have a heart full of love, that's what you do. And you're okay with it. And you don't become a victim for it. You don't get caught perpetually into a victim wheel. What I see going on these days is people saying we need to make more pencils, and also I'm a victim, and all of these other people are victims. So you should destroy your country. You should dismantle your country, because your country was made by colonists because of history. You don't deserve to live. The oppressed people are the powerful people who deserve what they have. The people who made this lead are more important than the people who made the rubber, for example. And I will champion the people that make the lead, and as their leader they will make sure that I have everything, and I'm better than other people because I'm pointing out a bad thing that's happened. Globalists don't care about the pencil. They don't care about the country. You know damn well the American that made the video talking about the pencil, saying, Zimbabwe made the lead. You know damn well he didn't care about Zimbabwe. They're making it seem that way. They are using this to disrupt everything. And it's difficult to point out exactly how, where, when they disrupt things because they operate within chaos as people from the left do. If you go as far right as you can, you get too much order and evil finds its way in because your clergy becomes criminals. I'm putting that really easily. Criminals. Abusive criminals. Towards children sometimes. Yeah, there you go. We got to talk about reality because, like, legitimately, if we want to talk about reality, then we're doomed to repeat past histories that we refuse to talk about, okay? If you go as far left as possible, you get anarchy. That's not my personal view. Please look it up from a source that isn't TikTok. Please look it up objectively. And this one issue that we have, the pencil and the person behind the pencil. The people behind the pencil who talk about globalism aren't interested in the globe. They're interested in capitalism. Remember that. Globalists aren't good people. Just for being Christian, you're not a good person. Just for being globalist, you're not a good person. Just for being pagan, social justice warrior, LGBTQ. There was a tune I remember hearing when I was locked in the Catholic Church for 1 hour every week. Though I only went to school there, they made me go to school. And there was a tune. If you ever go to a Christian, like a real Christian church, an old cathedral, the way that everyone's voice lifts and the acoustics in it makes it a real religious experience, like a concert, but unbelievably analog. Like the choirs, unbelievably analog. And there was one tune that kind of sends shivers up my spine because I felt like the saying was removed from the movement, and the saying could be attached to many movements. And they'll know we are Christian by our love. They'll know we are LGBTQ by our love. They will know we're Canadian by our love, by our actions, not our words, our actions that resonate over time. I'm telling you, we got a woke mind virus. And it looks really good. It sounds really good. It acts like it's going to go help the rest of the world, but all that it really wants is to help itself. And in some cases, bring the horrors of the rest of the world to our shores. Because though we need the world needs each other. There's also places in the world where people had to figure out their own problems. And colonialism is not the exclusive Patriarchy. Men-based religion is not from the British. These things have been Mesopotamia, Babylonia. This isn't Christian. Babylon had there was nothing to do with God in Babylon, and that's why we had the writing on the wall. The writings on the wall. That's saying, right? That's because in Babylon, a hand came out and it wrote on the wall to Nebuchadnezzar, I think, and all of a sudden, no one could understand what anyone was saying. It was Babel, because the city had grown so ultimately historically the city had grown so fast, people had moved into it, that nobody could understand one another. That's the historical context. But the religious context is that everyone moved away from God. So God took away everyone's power by taking away their language. So they babbled on Babylon. Wow, there's some real nuance in that. Okay, so Babylon, if someone's babbling in Babylon, they probably know exactly what they're saying. You just don't understand their language. So we've taken that word to meaning Babylon, meaning babbling about nothing, like a homeless person. You know what I mean? Like sketching out. So we have literally taken a definition for meaning to something of meaning to come to sketching out, but also in the pagan sense, the fool card. If you're the fool, if you pull the fool card, you actually know everything, and everyone thinks that you're an idiot. And meanwhile, in reality, a fool is an idiot. It's an idiot. That's just some nuance. I love religious nuance. The pencil. I want you to remember the pencil and the person behind it. I care about you. And again, I'm not making money from you. Person behind the pencil. Do they care about you? That's a globalist. And maybe they don't have your best intentions in heart. Maybe they have their own intentions. Maybe they don't care about their countrymen. And maybe if you don't care about your countrymen, you should get the hell out of your country and go to capital Asia. Yeah, go to capital Asia, where everyone from every country everywhere can get along with every rule from every country and every religion from every country, and they can all live in mass chaos, a free-for-all of ideas, information, and finances. Oh yeah, I like the sound of that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Enough from now, stack bets. But take care of each other. Legitimately, take care of each other. We need to spread some more love around here. We need the love, guys. Where's the love? Have a good one, guys.